running position where you kind of go take a back step Kosoro Gake, right? A simple Kosoro Gake in the no-gi foot-to trips. We have that, right? But at the same time, we're going to take a back step and we're going to trap this arm and we're going to angle off it. So now when we connect our hands, we're going to circle and use this knee sort of to shell, turn, and now we're in a nice prime position, kind of pull our arm backwards. You can go for a sitting Tani Toshi where you sit over this direction and take them over, but this is also a nice position. You can sit, top here, and then take them over. Now, as you can notice, I don't have very good mobility in my hips. So a lot of time here in judo. So you kind of need a certain level of flexibility and mobility. The wrestlers train this all the time. Generally, Greco and freestyle guys kind of do a lot of these maneuvers. But these are a couple of very basic entries into the Uranage. You have to drill it really well. We showed a couple of different examples there.
If your backup is in those types of styles, like in Greco-Roman, then all your years of training, doing this position all the time, so you kind of like priming your body to be able to do these type of throws.
Yes. The way the Uranage kind of works with a lot of this stuff here, as we're talking about entering the position, working ahead, pinch head lock, such and such, like he's going to go for the overhook. He's not going to stay here with the loose, right? And then kind of working close by here, looking at this position. You gotta go, we're not getting this position too, like a match up here. Right, in this kind of position, lock your hands, trap it. We're not getting, right? Maybe we're trying to take up wonders here, and he goes for a turn throw, headlock here. And then look at trap the arm, and then go, we're not getting backwards. It's very, very common. A lot of the time, you really see it off the Georgian grip, and the person goes collar, like collar here, and then goes over the back, right, with the belt. This kind of a thing, and you see guys flip this way, and then turn it to Uranage. Definitely try some of this stuff out and make sure you don't hurt your partner. And then you use a press mat, just in case. In our training in the room, when you get to a position where you lock the body and lift, we stop. So we don't backwards anyone onto their head. Yes, you can do that if everyone in the room is training a super elite level doing Greco. But you definitely don't want to paralyze your partner. So in training, right, you get the lift, body lock, you put it down, and then you separate. Because there's guys, right, who go behind me and then lift. Lift. Oh, and you put it back down, and then they'll try to rip this thing. You guys can do that, you know? So in the room, we're very, very strict about we're not getting rules and tiny toshi rules. So make sure you kind of follow those and keep each other safe when you do have a lot of these flows.
There's a time and place to practice some of these big throws, but like in the general like training room, depending on who's there, who you're practicing with, you can still get most of it just from the lift and back down and train in a much safer way.
How to practice all this stuff and get good at no-gi judo and implement it here again. Right, so in judo there's this concept of Uchiko fit-ins. And you kind of reciprocally go 1, 2, kind of work on the basic mechanics. 3, and it's sort of a fundamental movement, and people spend hours and hours doing it. And you know, old guys said we get those 1,000 repetitions a day to even be considered getting anywhere. But these guys are also training judo 6 hours a day. So in terms of ROI and time for the practice or with your partner, wherever it is, you definitely can't use that sort of, but that's literally, because you just don't simply have it. It's something you just take the no-gi judo classes over and over 6 weeks. You're doing gi jiu-jitsu, no-gi jiu-jitsu, you're working half guard, you're working wrestling, you're doing all this different stuff. Maybe you're an MMA fighter, maybe you wrestle 3 times a week. How can you do this in a 1 hour period, once a week, maybe with that? How can you do it in a safe way? And a lot of the time, it's like, hey man, I want to do you. You want to do it with me? And then just grapple and just try to flow each other with no idea of how to take the break fall, how to learn how to get into these positions, how to feel it out. You're going 100%. It's a surefire for disaster. Yeah. You're definitely going to get injured.
That's a recipe for injury.
Yes. And if you look at the primary demographic of people grappling now, right, just take the average person that's grappling. They're a little bit older, they have a little bit of experience, and maybe a blue belt or something like that. And that guy coming off a long day at work and getting wrong, the massive Parayoshi over and over, definitely high risk injury. So, even with the Uchikomi stuff, I think it's a great fundamental learning tool you can even just kind of do things where you're kind of learning to turn the hips, learning to use your hips and your legs, and then making the shape of the throw, creating a little bit of off balance and filling the space with your body. I think it's a very good thing to invest in maybe for a very short amount of time. But there's a point of diminishing returns where you have to kind of go above and beyond. So what I first recommend is, one, know yourself, right? Know who you are and where you're coming from. Understand your physical limitations. We talked about, if I cannot wrap my hands around somebody, you're not going to be able to buy them. So these physical limitations, right? And the type of experience you already have. Are you a jiu-jitsu blue belt that likes to pull guard like Bob? That's a different person than the person coming in with 9 years of wrestling experience. So when we're talking about a wrestler that went to high school and wrestled for 4 years, that person knows the basic drops like the single or the house league. So now they have to parlay that information into not getting guilty and shooting in a way where it is useful for them and forcing these tie-ups to be able to use these throws. Because if you can never get to those positions, everyone needs to use throws, right? If you're wrestling 4 years in high school, and this is your wrestling stance, and you're a low single guy, we're kind of maneuvered here, and I'm looking at that leg, and as you retreat that leg, and pull that leg, you're shooting out these low singles, there's no throw choking. There's just not. So how you use your wrestling to sort of set up these upper body stuff is very, very important. Now, with that being said, once you kind of have a general understanding of whether you're a top game guy in jiu-jitsu, or you like the risk of being upright, these are back problems. You can't really kind of get into these scrambles. You have to adapt your game based on that, and then work those positions where you're sort of play fighting at a much lower intensity. So, for instance, I like being upper body high. I'm sort of scared of